All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Team Time for Monday, January 28th. Real excited that you guys made this a priority to be here, and real honor to be sharing this call with Meg Johnson. And our topic is going to be on a sponsoring mindset. But before we get to that, just want to remind you that we are back on our training where we do the pre-training webinar in advance as best you can. It's really great if you can watch that webinar in advance, because what we want to do on these calls is not necessarily talk at you, but talk with you and talk about the training and see what's working, what resonates, what are you struggling with, and through that conversation be able to move everybody forward, because we know our mission is to help as many people as possible with their physical health, and also through coaching and all the amazing benefits that we get to experience as coaches. I just want to go ahead and say this now before the end of the call, just so we're not rushed. Just want to compliment you guys for the month of January. You guys are rocking as a team, helping people. We have reached a new level as an organization on the number of people that we are helping as clients. So thank you for that. And we've got a lot of months left. We've got until Thursday on January 31st. So keep sharing. You may or may not be at your goals yet. Work with your coach, but we're just here for your success. So thank you for that. And also want to remind you that Dr. A is doing a Health and Hope night this Wednesday night at 8:30. All the information is posted on our coach page and client page, but just wanted to take this moment to let you know that that is a great opportunity to have your clients attend, to have your coach candidates attend, and have your client candidates attend, and they can really get the big picture of what our mission is, learn from the master, Dr. A, and see what they can be a part of. So before we, let us get rolling on the conversation. If you watch the pre-training, give you a thumbs up or write something in the chat if you thought it was helpful to you, or you guys liking this format. Let's blow up the chat. And I learned on it. I've been coaching almost 8 years and I learned a lot. But I think let's just open it up. Like, I would love to hear from you what resonated the most with you from this, or maybe something you heard that you hadn't thought of before. Again, just unmute yourself, or you can raise your hand.
Hi, everyone. Hi. I just love when sponsoring becomes who you are and not what you do. It's just so empowering every part of me, and I really like that. And it's just wanted to share that.
Yeah. How did that, where do you feel you are on that? Because he really made a great distinction between sponsoring being something you do versus sponsoring being something that you are. Can you kind of describe where you are with that?
Well, I mean, I think I really felt a little shift when I heard that, because so that was a little shift for me, because I mean, I was sponsoring or thinking of coaching, but when I talk about coaching in the very beginning, when I do the health assessment and I start that conversation, so I think it's just more clear every minute of that this is who I am. It's just such a gift and to share. And I always say, what a disservice it is to not share that with someone. And I truly believe that. And when I heard that back at last convention, I really got that. And what a gift that we have. And I love the key. We are holding the key to give to so many people and to their lives to change. So I'm on it more than ever, if that's the answer.
That's good. That is good. I'd like to pick up on what Val just shared. She said that it's good for chickens like her to hear some tips on sponsoring. And I would say, I mean, I think that I personally struggled a little bit at the beginning, a little bit of fear of asking or inviting people to coach. Val, would you be willing to share a little bit more about where your head is on that? I think we'll need to unmute.
Hi, everybody. Sorry. My daughter's just getting home, so the dog's going crazy. And it was just good to listen to him, talk about the people. Like, don't worry about what they think of you, because, like, what are they thinking of you? Or what are you thinking of that? It was good to hear him say, who cares what they think about you? Like, they need your help, and don't be afraid. And I just feel like I like the frozen chicken, Larry. Thank you, by the way. You just worry, like, I really worried a lot, just wondering what people thought. I don't want to feel pushy. So he had the slide that was up that said, don't be pushy. He had, don't do this, or, he had all the things like behind his little phrases, and those were good for me to say, everyone can use our help. And so that was just helpful to me to kind of break out of your shell and not worry, because all the people that I've helped so far, which hasn't been a ton, are super pumped and love it. So we just have so many people out there that we can help. So just breaking out of your shell and getting in the sponsoring mindset, because I don't have any coaches under me right now. I just have clients. So, once I break across that barrier and get my first coach, it'll be very exciting. And I know he said then it just kind of explodes. So.
Absolutely. Meg, you had a big shift over time with coaching. Can you share a little bit, maybe speak to that and help Val or somebody else who might be in that position?
Absolutely. I was like an incredible chicken when I started out as a coach, for sure. And part of that, and everybody's different, but part of that for me, I was so desperate to have coaching clients in the beginning, and I was loving coaching. I had a scarcity mentality, and I thought, if I bring on other coaches, that means there's going to be less people for me to coach. And I'm just keeping it real. So if y'all would put it in the chat box or raise your hands, I know I'm not alone, but I know that's a common thought that we all have. But the reality is, the more I offered the coaching opportunity, the more clients were helped, the bigger my coaching business became. So I had a huge shift in that. And another shift, honestly, Dee and I were talking about this when I accidentally got a coach about 4 weeks into coaching. I didn't do any of the right things. She just became a coach. That's never happened before. But anyways, and Dee was running with her and trying to get her to get to senior coach. And I was like, what is this? Like, what, why do we want her to be a senior coach so bad? And my own scarcity mentality, I was thinking, I'm going to keep it real. The more money she makes, the less piece of the pie that I get, right? And what if she passes me? What if she, what if I had all of these scarcity mentality thoughts in my head, and they made my business stall? They got me stuck. And so when I got to be and look at it differently, instead of like, what do I want, but started thinking about how can I make other coaches win, then my business started expanding and really benefited in ways I never could have dreamed of. And now I'm on a different level than I could have expected. So thank you, Dee, for that push that I needed to change that mindset that I had.
Speak to the question Kathy just asked about running with her.
Oh, yeah. So Kathy, Dee would send her, I think this was a while ago now, but I think it was like Facebook messages, and would say, oh, so-and-so, you're so close to senior coach. It's just one more, she literally had 4 clients. She just needed one more client. Said, you're so close. Do you want this? Do you want this? And trying to like get her to just see the vision of what it could be. And I didn't see the vision at all. And lo and behold, here we are 18 months later, this girl isn't coaching anymore. And I really wonder now if I could re-coach her, and I can't, but what that would have meant for her financial life and her health and all that. Like, I feel bad about that, but I think we're going to fail forward as coaches. We're going to learn as we go. That's why we like being vulnerable and sharing our own failures, because we know it's going to help somebody else that's on the call.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And a good reminder is that's why we do work in team coaching, right? So that, your mentor, if you're uncomfortable with coaching, lean on your mentorship, right? If you're not sure about how to talk to it, that's why we talked about things like tips and celebration calls. And Susie Heyman spoke to that in the call. But then you can hear your coach talk about coaching. And then actually when if the person is interested in doing what we call a coach explore, and we will cover that in another call, your coach will lead that for you until we feel that you feel and we feel that you feel comfortable doing it. So just rest in that we don't want our own fears around maybe not understanding the process or how to do it or what to say to get in the way. Because one of the things that Dan Valentine said is that you can have all the how and all the what in the world in terms of procedures, but if we don't have our mind wrapped around why sponsoring is a good idea, and that we want to implement in our business, we still won't move forward. So that's really what the purpose of this call is really just to get a good grasp on sponsoring and adopting it into our business building. Vicki, did you have something that you wanted to share or ask before? I felt like your hand was up. No? Okay. Mary Lauren.
Sorry.
Something that stood out to me, I've got a pretty large front line now, and I guess I had never thought in terms of how many potential coaches are within those numbers. And, if you start looking at, if you got 40 something clients, then according to what their breakdown was, 26 or more clients is potentially 6 or more coaches. And I'm, almost double that. So I'm sitting here thinking, oh my gosh, how many opportunities have I missed already? So it's kind of like, proportionally I'm behind the curve here. So I'm kind of motivated to, like he was talking about, just offer it, because he's so right. It's selfish to hold this back, and, you don't want to take that from anybody. So thankfully my coach Lauren offered it to me right off the bat, but, I haven't been doing that, early in the game. So that's something I'm going to start doing.
And Meg, could you speak to how she can address that now, even if they've been on board for a little while, how we can introduce coaching at this point?
Yeah, Mary Lauren, I think it's never too late to talk about coaching. If you have a client, even that has transitioned as end maintenance, you can bring it up with them then. I think almost every time I am on the call with somebody that I have it on my heart that I know they're supposed to be a coach, Rachel Barnes is on this call right now. She was definitely one of them. I bring it up. I bring it up often and just cast that vision. You don't want to be annoying about it, right? But like letting people know that you see something in them. They have what it takes, and they can help other people, just casting that vision. So I would, I think it starts with your map. If you're not already doing a map, if you're senior coach and above, highly recommend that you do a map. But comment below if that's a part of your weekly thing or a monthly action, or we're about to start into February. Please comment below if you want to start that. Your business coach can show you how. But that's you write down all your clients, and it makes you think, who in this list could be a potential coach? Because you are exactly right. If you've got 20 clients, you probably have 6 coaches in there. So if you've got 40 clients, you probably have 12 coaches. It's a great point. Thanks, Mary Lauren.
And Dan Valentine, he was, I think, the fastest person to reach presidential director, which is one of the highest ranks in our organization. And he was very transparent with his story that he did not understand it. He did not offer. And so I wrote it down because it really stood out to me. He said he had one coach. Like he said, he kind of like Meg said, like he accidentally stumbled on coaches. But he said he had one coach in month 1. He had 4 coaches when he was in month 5. And then he had the shift where, he had a conversation with his coach that he said, okay, if he wanted to, make the income that he and his wife were both making combined, if he wanted to do that with Optavia, what would it take? And they shared with him about the leverage of sponsoring and how that, impacts, because you can help so many more people that way. And by month 9, he was a presidential director. So that meant for 5 months, he was bringing on clients, Mary Lauren, that he, had not offered to, but he said that week he went, he just went right out and offered coaching to everybody. The second piece of the equation, he said, was that 90% of the people he offered to, results not typical, 90%, but what if we raised the bar and that did become typical on our team? Wouldn't that be great? So, but he said that 90% of the people he offered coaching to said no the first time. Raise your hand if anybody's ever told you no to coaching. Yeah, right. Meg Johnson, how many times did you tell me no?
I can't keep, probably a dozen. I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah. So I walked that fine line of not being too annoying, but kept offering it. And who's glad that Meg said yes? Yeah. Yeah. All of these people, and so, yeah, like Lisa said, so he said his business would be only, 10% of what it was if he had let that no hold him back. So hopefully that helps you kind of get a picture. What else? What have you maybe been challenged by with offering coaching? What can we talk about that would help you to get a better feeling about this?
I think my biggest issue has been when I've offered it, because I've varied, because I really go by the health assessment and how they're feeling. And like they said, where they said identify their needs, qualify their attributes and approach them. But and you think about, would this person be true to plan? Would this person, and so I kind of take all that in when I'm doing the health assessment, because I've had some that are very chatty, very engaging, and then they're the same way on their check-ins, and others who are, been doing this for 4 months, I have to pull every answer from them. And I'm trying to make it fun and make it simple. And so now when I've been offering it, one girl that I offered to last week, she's been on plan 4 weeks. And she said, well, I just have this thing about people jumping on to be a coach the day they sign on for a plan because they're not credible. And so I want credibility. And she said, and plus they probably do it for the discount on the food. And I went, no, we don't get any discounts. And it was awesome being able to say that and stand behind that, we don't get any, there is no discount. There is no incentive. We do this because we love doing it. And I think that she kind of was quiet for a minute. And so I think that was she's the only one who said that when I've offered it. But I think and by the end of the conversation, she said, well, not right now. I'm just not at a place, but she said, possibly later. And I thought, okay, I've done what I was supposed to do. I felt really good about it. The other people are I think they're just swamped in their jobs from the stress I can hear in their voices. And when I present it to them, they're just like, oh my gosh. And then they've got children. And then, so I'm thinking, okay, I'll just keep dripping it, slowly. But, and I had one I thought was going to come to our Charlotte thing Saturday night, but she had to cancel last minute. So I'm still working on her, but, but I think I've struggled just to kind of get that where they're seeing people notice them, but they're not doing anything about it. So
One thing, Katie, thanks for bringing that up, because I think probably all of us have clients like that have incredible stories of transformation. And I just go back to thinking about Dan Valentine when he started and how he he had such a crazy story of transformation, but he wasn't somebody we would look at and say, he should be a coach, right? He had to grow into that from a leadership perspective, right? So I would just wonder with some of those people, maybe take one, for example, what could we do to equip them with the tools so that they know what to say, or they know how to inspire somebody else to say yes?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that because I had 2 people that I did ask and invite, and they were so touched that because their view of a health coach, they're like, one girl said, I'm not in that kind of shape. And my nutrition isn't that great. And how am I going to tell people what to do? And I said, but that's the beauty of it, because it holds you accountable to your journey and to improving yourself. And, but I think that they have this vision of, like you're saying, I'm like one lady I talked to last week, she's like, I haven't lost all my weight yet. I am in no position to tell someone else, to do this. I think they feel like we have to have, be physically fit and perfect on our nutrition and know every answer to everything. So it's a very common fear, I think.
And how did you respond to that, Katie?
Which part?
The one that said, well, I'm not ready yet. I'm not at a place where I, could be able to help somebody else.
I told her that she would actually be the ideal place because of her journey and the success she's had, and that she can speak to fat burn. She can speak to, the process of, the eating, every 2 to 3 hours. She can, and so I think that it gave her something to think about. And the accountability. I always lean into that.
Absolutely. A good response, I think you handled that well. I mean, a good response is that it becomes, you ask people to do this with you. That the great thing is that we are not experts. That it's just a matter of you ask people to do it with you. And usually what I'll say to my clients is, do you know how to do the 5 and 1? Well, of course they do, right? They're doing it. That's all you need to know at this point, is to teach them how to do the 5 and 1, what you're already doing so well. I'm gonna drop something big here, because I think that the busy answer comes up a lot. Do you get that response? Give me a yes in the comments or whatever when you get that they're just busy. And like you said, Katie, you feel the busy. Okay. So in your mind, do you think like, gosh, they're right. Like, how could they coach? Is that what goes through your mind? Or do we think coaching is the answer? If they're looking for time freedom, coaching is the answer. So we're taking it to a whole new playing field. And I think a natural tendency, and I'll answer Frank's question a little bit about income, but I think that the natural tendency is that we tend to think small with coaching, that we're offering them this little thing to do on the side. And you guys, coaching can transform lives. It could be, 30,000, 50,000, 100,000, $1 million that people make in a much different working environment than they have now. So my response, and right now I'm talking to a mom that has a mom of 2. She makes $170,000 a year, and she works about 70 hours a week, and she travels, and she hates every minute of it. So the question is, okay, if you keep doing what you're doing, are you going to like where you are? So I said, Christy, I'm not offering you one more thing to do, because Lord knows you don't need that. I'm offering you a complete transformation of your life. If you would like to explore what that could look like. So I think that, and if you are not comfortable with a conversation like that, I am happy to do it. Meg, Lauren, your mentors, we are happy to step in. But I think that is one thing that might be tripping us up as a group, is maybe not offering it big enough. And I was 100% there for a long time. Right, Lara? Yeah. Yeah.
I would love to speak to that, Dee, if that's okay.
Please.
So yeah, I started coaching about 4 or 5 weeks into my journey, working a full-time job, working 10 to 12 hours a day as a nurse practitioner. And, I was making good money, and but I didn't, I was stressed with my job, and I saw my coworker being a coach, and I was like, you know what, let me just see. At first I said no a couple times because I didn't feel like I had the time. I had a 1-year-old, and now, so let's see, that's 9 months ago, and now I'm making about the same as my full-time salary as a nurse practitioner, working about 10 hours a week. And I just was able to ask to go part-time, and I'm hoping to be able to go part-time soon. And so, yes, it's been a little bit busy with working full-time, and thankfully I have a job where I'm working a little bit less hours, but still working 40 hours a week. And I have a lot of clients who or coaches who initially told me that, like, I don't think I have the time. And so what I like to do is to talk through their time with them and say, what I found is fitting this into the nooks and crannies of my life I'm able to do a lot more with my time than what I thought I could. And I feel like I'm actually managing my time so much better with being really intentional with my time. And so, you know, I'm managing a lot of clients and a lot of coaches, and I'm able to do it in about 10 hours a week because I'm just very intentional. And so, and now, even though I've been doing it with my full-time job, now my goal and my hope is to have time freedom soon, you know, within the next couple of months from doing that. And so I think just helping people think through how can they use the time they have and what time do they have, and helping them to see that it doesn't really take that much time to coach. You know, it's about an hour a week for 5 clients, 2 hours a week for 10 after you get them through the initial health calls. Or the health assessment calls. I think that was really helpful. It's helpful for me to see that perspective now with my potential coaches.
Thank you. Yeah, real important to help talk it through, because I think everybody's initial reaction, we hear about doing something new, something different, something additional, and it's like, oh, like new. So helping them think it through. So that's excellent, Lauren. And then also to speak to what Carol had written, yes, you're going through a season of busyness, right, Lauren? A season of chaos, a little bit of, you know, like growth, but you know where you're going. And so if we're helping somebody move through something big like this, you know, we do not tell them to leave their jobs. I mean, we definitely have a strategy that we do, that they build this on the side, and we're very methodical, very conservative in how we help somebody transition. But there will be some busyness. But when somebody has clarity, it's like eating the food on our program. The average person would say, I don't really want to eat packaged food. But when they realize that that's the vehicle that's going to take them to where they want to go, they're willing to do some things that are a little uncomfortable in order to get there. So I think that's the closest analogy that I can think.
Yeah, if I can add.
Please.
Yeah, I wanted to say too, I mean, one of the things, you know, people, we look at people from a health perspective a lot of times. That's where we kind of start with clients. But again, diving in deeper to find out, again, how fulfilled they are in their jobs and their careers are real important, because there's so many people that are unhappy and unfulfilled in their jobs and their roles. So that's a big part of what we offer. It's the health, but it's also the healthy mind, right? To bring about fulfillment, to have some more meaning by helping individuals in this business. And I think that's the key thing. So yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a juggling act. It's going to be busy at dinner time when the kids are coming home, the dog is barking, and you know, you're trying to just juggle everything. But as long as you feel like you're being fulfilled, okay, and clients or potential coaches can get there, you know, that's a self-motivator right there, you know, to continue on knowing that there's an opportunity, there's something better to go through that. And, you know, Lauren, I love your story, because again, you're trying to balance that out now. You're trying to cut back hours on your other job to pick up more this way, or spend more time with your family, right? You know, so that's the ultimate goal, where you can manage your business, make a good living, and also have freedom and more time with your family. So I just wanted to share that. That was a great topic.
Yeah, very good. And Lisa Bloom, I mean, I don't know if you want to add for a minute, Lisa, you are going through, you know, you're in the corporate world, but you want to make a transition to full-time coaching. So you want to speak to that a little bit about how you viewed this opportunity when I offered it to you?
Yeah, and I'm tired. But I saw it from the beginning, and I think part of it was going to convention, but I really saw from the beginning the advantage of sponsoring, and reached out to a lot of people to talk about the coaching opportunity and building the business deep, and have had some success with that. But Dee, you're the one that kept saying it's a season of chaos. It's a season of chaos. And somebody said to me just the other day, how much time do you spend on the business? And I said, well, on client support, maybe a couple hours a week max. But for the rest of for building my business, I spend as much time as I want, which I can't even quantify it, because I feel like that's all I do all day long. I talk to people I present the opportunity, and a lot of people who know me well think that I've left my full-time job, because when people ask me what I do, I say I'm a health coach, and they're like, oh, did you leave ADP? No, I'm still there. I still spend every day there, but I work things into my lunch hour. I work, you know, the commute back and forth. and nighttime, you know, my youngest daughter's gone dancing all night. So I just make it work, and I'm determined to build this. Like, my goal is to leave my job by the end of this calendar year.
Yeah, excellent, Lisa. Thank you. We're getting a little close on time. We can take this to conversation in our coach group. I would like to talk a little bit about the income and things, but Meg, anything else you'd like to share?
Yeah, just real quick, I was thinking about the coaching opportunity when we oh gosh, I don't know if y'all can still see me or not.
Yeah, we see you.
Okay, so when we are doing a share call, every time somebody comes up to us and says like, oh, I can't have prepackaged foods, or I eat out all the time, we think about an opportunity on why they need this, why they need Optavia and how it can work. And so at some point a light bulb went off in my head that I need to have that same conviction that I have about why clients need us on why coaches need to coach. And so if you don't have that conviction, I just encourage you to spend some time thinking about what that is, because once that light bulb went off, anytime someone was busy, I told them why they needed Optavia, or their health was struggling, they needed to be a coach, or whatever. So that was really helpful for me in positioning coaching to others. So just wanted to share that in case that helps anybody else.
Yeah, so helpful. I mean, guys, like Larry always says, Optavia is for everyone. I mean, people's finances, people are struggling with their finances. If somebody tells you they can't afford the fuelings anymore, that's a coaching conversation. You know, it's always because if that's a struggle or whatever, they need Optavia. So, so thank you. If you didn't get a chance to watch the pre-training, please go back and watch it. You may want to watch it again. Maybe we'll listen with some new ears even after today. We'll start to get into the nooks and crannies and the details starting next week. But I do want to let us off. We've got Dr. A coming up. If you want to hop over to his Zoom, highly encourage you to be over there. So thank you. Thank you, Meg, for helping to lead. Thank you for everybody who contributed. Let's finish January strong. Thank you guys so much for what you're doing and what you contribute to our team and to the world. Thanks.